want to thank everybody for coming today. It's not only a positive moment for law enforcement, it's also a sad moment for the family of Allison Elmy Lewis. Today, 38-year-old Enzert G. Lewis was arrested for the murder of Allison, in which her body was discovered on November the 3rd in eastern Vigo County. This has been a long investigation. We have pulled all resources that we could pull together to ensure that this came to a closure, that her killer was located, and that today has happened. Throughout the process of executing search warrants, the investigation of over 20 officers from, and you can see, from multiple agencies across this county, Mr. Lewis was originally considered a person of interest, and as investigators did their job, Mr. Lewis ultimately has now been charged in her murder. I want to take this opportunity to thank all those agencies that have assisted us, the investigators, crime scene technicians, and most importantly, what we need to remember is that we need to think about the family of Allison, her children she left behind, sister, mother, and father. Any questions?
So what changed from the original domestic violence count to where we are today?
Captain?
Just through the ongoing investigation, initially we had the known charge of the invasion of privacy. Was able to get him in a place where we knew where he's at, and continue our investigation, and eventually lead us to this point.
Have you talked to him since?
Detective Childs, the chief, and I just went up and served him with the warrant, put him back in his cell block.
You had like an approximate timeline? I know that was kind of up in the air through all this.
Timeline of her when it occurred.
When she was murdered.
On our probable cause.
Last days.
On our probable cause affidavit, it reads on or about October 10th. So, it's a time frame we was able to get to.
Okay.
And also there was, I was counting 4 search warrants that were served after the body was discovered. There's also been evidence collected that's been sent to the Indiana State Police Lab that's in the process of being tested. Statements taken, several different statements that are referred to in the probable cause statement. And all the hard work from the Sheriff's Department and all the other law enforcement officers that were involved in this case resulted in today we filed actually 4 charges. The first charge was murder. The second charge was altering the scene of a death, Class D felony, obstruction of justice, Class D felony, and also an invasion of privacy, a Class A misdemeanor. This investigation is going to continue on. And one thing I want to make clear too, that law enforcement, especially the Sheriff's Department's worked around the clock every day. I know they've worked on the weekends too, worked on Election Day, worked on Veterans Day. So it's taken a lot of work to get to this point. And I know they were up most of the night last night working on putting together the probable cause statement.
Did we ever say or release how, I guess, how we did it?
In the affidavit of probable cause, it states that the cause of death has been determined to be blunt force trauma to the head. One other thing I need to say too, for ethical reasons, is obviously the defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So whatever we talk about up here, you have to understand that.
So you've determined the location of her death was her apartment?
We are still doing testing. There is a lot of evidence that has been sent to the Indiana State Police Lab in Indianapolis. There's a lot more evidence that is being processed at this time, and we'll be making several more trips to Indianapolis with evidence that will help us confirm our suspicions.
Are there any other suspects in this investigation? Anybody else who might have been involved, either in helping the suspect move the body or clean up the scene?
That's probably beyond the scope of what we can comment at this time. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say, can you comment on, you said cases, murder charges, do we know what we're looking at? That's what you think?
On a murder charge, it's 45 to 65 years. On the D felonies, it's 6 months to 3 years, and on the Class A misdemeanor, it's 0 to 1 year.
When is his next court appearance?
I don't know if I, do you? Okay, so we don't know that, yeah. And then they'll set dates tomorrow, obviously, some dates.
This was, I just want to add, anytime that you have a case like this, especially where a body has been discovered that has been dumped alongside a road, that there is a lengthy investigation that has to go along with that. The common questions of who, what, when, where, why, and how all have to be answered. And that's why this case took a lot of investigators and a lot of time in answering those questions. We started out, and as you know from your earlier news releases, we had no idea who this person was, the victim. And then as the investigation continued forward through the coroner's office, we located a name, matched a name to the body that was found. And so through all these steps and through all of the last couple of weeks, trying to put this puzzle together has been a challenging one for investigators. And everybody worked as a team, and I want to stress that. This was a team effort. From the initial units on the scene all the way up through the prosecutor's office in what we're bringing to the table today, and that is the charge of murder for Allison's husband.
Can you mention on the fact that you guys always talk about it's a win, but it's not a win? I mean, you guys have made your case after all your hard work, but at the same time, there's the families to consider.
Sure, and that's absolutely right, and that's, the win for us is that we have got to this point where we have charging information and an arrest made in the case. It does provide maybe a little closure to the family, but here again, they have lost a daughter. Their kids have lost a mother. And so we can't forget that, the personal side of this is they've lost somebody. For us, and that's why we work so diligently to find the suspect so that there is a sense of closure and that healing process can start for that family.